You never proposed to me?
If you don't know already, this is my very sweet, lovely, and beautiful Megan. Say hi.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about some stuff, whatever stuff that comes to our mind.
We always have pretty good conversations, and then we think we should record this.
We do.
But when the camera comes on, we get a little shy, and they're not as good, but we'll work on it.
It's been quite a roller coaster of a year,
Yeah.
I think. And we always find ourselves having very challenging or meaningful or eye-opening conversations, and we just felt like we were due for another one. And this time around we just thought it'd be a good idea to record it, maybe make a YouTube video out of it. If not, oh well. We can save it to show our kids in the future or something. Yeah.
And Mrs. Tegan. Action.
Yes.
I'll start with a question. What is your biggest challenge right now?
In every aspect of life?
Yeah.
I think motivation. I've managed to give myself permission in terms of time, in terms of me making new friends, and in terms of, I guess, just giving myself permission to do the things that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to it, I have a hard time challenging myself.
Do you think that maybe you haven't given yourself permission then? Because I think that's why you don't have the full freedom. Like you've given yourself permission maybe in the physical sense, but not in the mental capacity.
I think more than anything what it is, I'm back to like step one.
Yeah.
In a lot of things in my life. And
For anybody listening, what does that mean?
well, just sort of in this pursuit of finding an identity, I've let go and I've let go of my past identities that no longer serve me.
Mm-hmm.
And, that identity was built up over several years of experience and learning and challenges and, wins and losses and all those things that made me who I was. And now that I want to reshape who I am, I need to start from ground zero and get the relevant experiences and people around me and challenges and wins and, all those things that will make me who I want to be in the future. But for now, I'm just starting off.
Yeah.
And I just have this overwhelming sense of being such a beginner at things and not being good at everything. And it's kind of hard, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Being someone that's very competitive and being someone that has always have been in a result-oriented environment.
Yeah.
And quality of output.
Yeah.
It's just hard to try things and not do well.
Well, you also, you've always been in a logical environment in a sense.
Yeah.
The sports with math, science is right and wrong. But with creativity, there's not. And so you're in this weird space now of, there is no right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is a lot to adapt to mentally.
But yeah, that is to say, just to tie back to my, initial answer, is just it's hard for me to feel ambitious when I'm not satisfied with what I'm creating. I don't know.
That's
It's
fair.
weird.
That's
Yeah.
so fair. Yeah.
It's I often refer to this confidence competence loop.
Mhm.
And, you get confidence by getting competent at something.
Mhm.
And when you're confident, you strive to be more competent.
Yeah.
And then in return, you get more confident. And it's this cycle. But I guess where I'm at is I'm trying to break into that.
Feeling like you're putting it all into it and then not really receiving anything back. But then one thing I've been sitting with a lot lately is not necessarily feeling satisfied with what I'm doing, but then sitting with it and being well, this is exactly what I want to do, so what's the problem? And it's it's not actually what I'm doing, it's the way that I'm doing it. And you can be doing the exact same thing, but taking it a different approach and doing it a different way. And that is what's going to shift it into being fulfilling for you. And I feel like that is also what you might be called into right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is as simple as understanding that you don't find fulfillment in the things you do, but it's in how you see things. You know, it's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, two words that I guess two separate terms that I guess have come up is the difference between letting go and surrendering. I think.
What's the difference too?
Well, my logical brain, ironically, would say that I've let go, but I'm yet to.
Like word it for you?
I'm yet to like. Let me try. I've yet to devote myself to the process.
Mm.
Like I'm still trying to know things
Mm.
as opposed to believe.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna say like, yeah, there's a difference. Like you can let go of what has been, but then the distance is gonna be within not fully surrendering to what is truly in front of you. And although we can let go of who we've been, what we've done, and like old patterns, we can't completely step into the new until we let go of the ideas of how we think it should look and how we think it should be. Because, we've been back to like, you have to let things be what they want to be and embrace that mystery rather than trying to force your capacity and trying to force knowing everything. I guess one way to put it is I feel like being devoted to the calling and not where the calling is leading you.
So it's, in a sense, it's the process is twofold. So there's letting go of what was and embracing what is, but also that's letting go. You have to surrender to what you're destined to be, as opposed to holding on to what you want to be.
Yeah.
And so, going back to what I was explaining earlier, is like I've done the first half. I think I'm still working on the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that how you feel?
Yeah. That's exactly where I've been. Like I feel like I've like fully let go of just who I have been in a lot of ways, but haven't fully stepped in to like it's almost like you put all this work to like leave, and so you open the door and you go in and you're like, I did it. But then like you're in the hallway and you have to go into the next room, but you're like, why is nothing going on? Like, what's wrong? But it still takes more of you and more courage to be able to open that second door into like the next phase. Yeah. But I think that comes from having an idea of how you think things should look, because that puts too much rigidness on life in a way that it just does not process like that. And I think we lose control when we try to have control, because ultimately, like, what we want and what we desire, I believe that's in us because that's what we're meant to become. And we're called to that. And so that's going to happen when you stop trying to control things instead of, like, trying to control things. Because, like, the flow of the river type thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. The contrast, I guess, of it's like a paradox, right?
Yeah. Also, like the more you can embrace that life is so paradoxical and like contrasting, and that you're always in the middle, I feel like the better your life will be.
Yeah. So cool. Like we're sort of on the same, I guess, playing field right now. Where we're at. So what do you think has changed for you to let go of who you used to be?
For me to be able to do that?
Yeah. From who you used to be to who you are now?
Yeah. Honestly, I think love.
Me?
Yeah. Like, it doesn't like have to be romantic love. In my case, it was. But I think also it wasn't completely, because you came around at a time where I had already made that choice to step away from that life. Like the previous life. and I already made the choice to ultimately choose my well-being above all, and then it met you. So it was just perfectly timed. But I think ultimately love has been the thing that has allowed the change and healing and growth and everything to unfold. But I think that moment of choosing that path was more from almost a place of defeat. I was just kind of like, fuck this, like I can't do this anymore. Like I need something else, and it's gonna be hard, but this is already hard, so like I'm kind of over it. And I think that that is usually the case for everyone. And I think that that's like a very powerful place to make transformation from. It's just being like, I'm done, like I need change. And then that can quickly die too. And so it's really important to nurture that. But I think love has been the thing that has allowed me to really see that growth and time, because it's slow. It's very slow. And there's been a lot of things that I've held in my hand and been like, I need to get rid of this. And then I stare at it for months or years. And I'm like, okay. And so I think also having that patience, because there has to be an understanding that as much as you want to change and you want to let things go, that has its own timing. And you can hold the space for it, but you can't control when it comes and when it happens. And I feel like that's really important to know, to be able to have compassion for yourself as that as your transformation happens. Because I feel like you're like, okay, like I'm ready now. It's like it's not up to you. It's not. Like you just need to continuously show up and create the space and wait, ultimately. Because usually we're choosing certain lifestyles or behaviors because of fear, and really the only way to overcome fear is to love. And so I feel like it's just about seeing how you can pull love into your life in like every single way. And I think for me that really looked like retracting from life a lot. Like for pretty much 3 years with little breaks. It was just you and me. And I think that was what I needed to, just primarily being in my, just with myself, and also being with someone who completely accepted me as I am, so that I didn't have to, like I felt like I had a lot of freedom with you to be who I was and be who I want to be, and everything in between. And so I didn't feel like I had to hold on and let go of anything in order to keep you around or to keep you in love with me. So I think it's important to be around people like that in those seasons. Although the life I have lived, I do not want to live anymore. I will not change that I did.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm really happy that I did, and I'm really grateful that I did. And I'm ultimately, although there was a lot of fear in my actions, there was also a lot of courage and freedom and choosing myself. And maybe it wasn't in the best ways, but...
Would you argue that that's the life you wanted to live in that moment?
Yeah.
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 And that's fine, right? I think that's acceptance, right? Just
I think also just the capacity and ability to accept that we have so many lives in one lifetime, and like holding on to one because it's like, well, I wanted this so bad at one point. It's like, that's okay, but you don't anymore, and you need to accept that and to let yourself live the next life.
yeah, it is a process. It is a iterative process throughout our lifetime, and I think I want to use the word misinterpret the present. So like I feel like a lot of us misinterpret what present is as something that is in between past and the future, which is in literal terms true, but I think our soul cannot differentiate, I don't think, between past and future, because that's not existent.
Yeah.
You know, like present is now, right? And so what a lot of people, I feel like, why I say they mistake it is because like, oh, who I was and who I want to be. So this is who I'm going to be now. They're basing their future off of the past and the present, and not accepting or forgiving, and just understand that you have different, multiple lives throughout this process, and to just live the one that you're in right now, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It just kind of reminds me of what I very often say, that like your life purpose isn't what you're supposed to do forever or what you're supposed to do really anytime. It's just what you're supposed to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like the more that you can step into that, I think the more that you can actually live it and enjoy it also. And not, again, it's just like not doing it for what it could be, but doing it for what it is right now. Yeah. I mean, for me, a huge thing, and like probably if I had to pick like one of the biggest lessons I teach, it is the contrast. Because no matter where you are, like yin and yang, there's good and there's bad, always. And it's just really what you want to focus your attention on. And it's so easy to think once this happens, once that's happened, like it'll feel better. But I've been in this space so many times where I was like, everything will be better once I move, not better. Okay, well then I'll move somewhere else, move, not better. I moved to like 20 places and it's the same. And like, just that feeling like, so many people think once they get into a relationship, like, it'll be better. And like, yes, it can be in some ways. In general, like if you're in a place that you love, it's better. And it has these little bits, but it's not perfect. And there's still so many things to complain about or to compare or to really add weight onto the experience that you're having. And ultimately it's just saying that it's never going to be perfect. And the closest you'll ever get to perfect is the way that you view it, not what you're viewing.
So you've come and you've conquered and you're here now, right? So what's it gonna take for you to get to the next level? To
be here now.
be here now?
I don't need to do anything to get to the next level. I need to be here. And I need to live.
Surrendering, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's that simple, right? We just talked about a lot of the things that we just talked about overlap in so many ways, but yeah, in the simplest of terms, it's just, surrendering to who you're destined to be.
Yeah.
And not try to
And
fabricate
just, like,
it.
the only
or
thing I'm
manipulate
destined
it.
to be is who I am. And
Not who you want to be.
I think also seeing like, I like viewing it and like who I want to be is who I will be. But that's like the purpose of my whole lifespan. Like I'm not supposed to be that now. That's the end game. That's the end goal. And then once you're there, enjoy it for a minute and you're dead. Like life is complete because you have just completed your purpose here. And yeah, I think like your only purpose is to be exactly who you are, even if you don't like that person, ultimately. And I think bringing love into that. Because the only reason why you're not who you're meant to be is because you're not letting yourself love. And to be who you were meant to be, you need the most love that you can get, and that's got to start with you. And that can be very contradicting because so many people, I think, they're like, well, if I love myself when I'm being lazy and incompetent or any of these things, then I'm just going to keep doing it. And it's like, no, you keep doing it because you have the shame and the guilt, which is taking your energy and your spirit and your life force from you. That if you truly love who you are, you're not going to choose those things because you are present with yourself. You're not trying to run from your emotions. You're not trying to limit your growth. You're not trying to make yourself small because you love them. So you want to take care of them.
I agree with that. That's a really good way of putting it. Define love in your terms. I know it's a very
Take a look at me.
I said in your terms.
Mhm.
Take a look at me.
Oh, that's a hard question.
Love as in as in what you alluded to earlier, to just love, not necessarily a romantic way, but more so love as, like a state of being.
Yeah. Let me think for a sec. I have like 4 people staring at me.
Can I run to the washroom? Can I go pee? Take turns.
Okay.
Think about it now.
Think about the whole concept of love. Yeah, this is a hard thing to articulate, but I think it's ultimately seeing the pureness in everybody.
Is love a perspective?
It can be, thinking of when it comes down to like a relationship, which is probably the easiest way for me to articulate it, but ultimately this is the relationship can be to anyone, is radical acceptance and compassion for what is. Not only grace for the indifferences, but celebrating them. Rather than feeling like they take away meaning from your uniqueness.
You're saying that it's closest representation of God that humans can express.
An experience, yeah.
An experience.
And at that, I think it's the root of who and what we are. But there's just a lot that we hold on to that weighs that down.
You know what? I would have said the same thing in a different way, but a lot of kids have disagreements with parents. Parents are always right, but when we're growing up, everything they do seems to be wrong. At least you're just learning things as you go, and you always, growing up, you have the impression that parents know everything, adults know everything because they're older, they have experience. But at the end of the day, it's their first time living life too. And just as much as it is your first time living life, and they have no idea, how to raise a 15, 16, 17-year-old. It's their first time doing it. It's their first time experiencing their 18-year-old kid moving out of the house. So why are we to judge, that they're always wrong or disagree or they don't understand what we're doing or how we're feeling. Like, they don't understand how they're feeling themselves yet either.
Yeah.
But to take that and apply it for every other aspect of life, everybody's first time doing this thing.
Yeah. I think once you realize that we're all just figuring it out, nobody has it together, nobody has it perfect. You can idolize people all you want, but it's like they're not perfect. The perspective you have of them is. And I always think that, when people are like, oh, you're so lucky to be rich and famous, I'm like, honestly, that seems horrendous. Sure, there's benefits, but it comes with a lot of challenges because there's contrast to everything.
Yeah.
And every great gift has a weight that it comes with. And once you see that, you have all these blessings, and you'll focus on the weight because you trained yourself to focus on that. One thing I'd be open to talk about because it's pretty present is, I'm thinking how it feels to think that things are going to go one way and they don't. And not particularly in a bad way, but for us recently, thinking we would live in Central America for a lot longer, I really thought that we'd be rooted in Costa Rica for a while, and I thought that we would never move here to Canada. And then we did. And that was a big, why do I want this? Why? But I guess what's your view on those moments where you should keep the door open? When you have a ton of resistance to something, that might be the door you need to open.
I guess at a young age, now that I can say that it was a blessing, but at a young age, I sort of realized that, now I know this is contradicting what we said earlier about, it's not about who you want to be, but I guess in the context of explaining this larger, more metaphorical meaning.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about making sure that you become the person you want to be. It was more so about making sure that you don't become the person you don't want to be.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you aren't the person you don't want to be, then everything else is an open door.
Mm.
You just close the ones that you know you don't want to go into.
Yeah.
However, if you have a set goal and idea of this person that you want to be, not only are you going to close the doors that you don't want to be in, but all the other doors that maybe a different path to than what you know to become who you want to be. I suppose. And
And I
so,
think humbling yourself that you only know so much, and like your imagination is a limit too.
so that's one thing for sure is it's very. I remember hearing that on something like when I was like 14 or something. Like it was probably Goggins or something. I don't even know. But yeah, it was like everybody preaches this tunnel vision, this like ambition, this like. But I feel like literally, like a tunnel vision is like
It's also considered
narrow-mindedness. You know?
That's what they put on horse. They're called blinders.
Yeah, and it's just narrow-mindedness. I feel.
And I think, again, like, it's beautiful and not a bad thing at all to have a clear vision of what you want. Like, I definitely have one. But also needing to stay open about how I'm going to get there and what there is going to look like that has to stay open. And also I want to add that I don't think it's bad at all to have a version of yourself you want to be. I think it is important in a way. But being, again, it comes into the contrast and the polarity of being able to love and appreciate who you are and who you want to be. And I think it really comes down to a lot of people, they have this vision of who they want to be, and that like depletes them. It makes them feel like they're not enough. It makes them feel guilty or shame or any of these things, which is what's going to stop you from really stepping into that. And I think you need to use it as your source of inspiration instead. And being able to simultaneously be inspired by this vision and love the person who is putting in their best to get you there. But, like, again, patience. And it's love. And he's smiling at me.
No, because it just goes all the way back to the first thing that I said, you know, it's just like, I struggle with motivation because I hate being a beginner again. I hate sucking at things. I know that I could get better, but I just can't feel fulfillment or love myself for what I'm able to do right now. Let's have a little bit more lighthearted conversation. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, do you have what are some of your favorite quotes that will not sum up, but related to what we've discussed so far? Just a quick quote that will summarize or motivate or inspire everything that was just discussed and take away, and the audience can.
I should have a quote folder in my brain, but I don't think I do. Let's see if anything comes through. Actually, one that's just very present right now, and I don't know word for word what it says because the whole book is kind of talking about it in like a bunch of different ways. But in Literature, Young Poet, a huge theme in it is instead of trying to find the answers, live the question. And the only way to find the answers is to live within the question. And I think a lot of people remove themselves from living and trying to think themselves into the answer, but the only way to know the answer is to live the question and being open to mystery in that way. Oh, what was my high school grad quote? I know it was Charles Bukowski, and it was something low-key depressing.
That's funny. I remember my high school grad quote. It actually, it's funny. It probably says a lot about how kind of person we were when we were 18.
Oh yeah.
This is so cliche, but it was a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor.
Yeah. That's so cliche.
Yeah. What's something you've always wanted to tell me
Ooh.
that you've never told me?
We're very open.
We are.
Okay, I think it was the same thing.
I do have one. Actually.
What?
Just because it was on my mind just recently. So it's just there. I don't think about it all the time. I promise. I do worry that our kids will have a harder life if they have the same hearing disability as you.
I think I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever vocalized it though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, same. But I also know the life they've had because I haven't, and it's
That's true.
acceptable.
That's true.
Like, you know, it sucks. It does suck. But the two things why I'm not too worried about it is one, I have it, and I know that life can still be sexy. And two, there will be better technology. And I think they'll just be a lot better supported in that.
Yeah, just something that was there. I don't think about it all the time.
Yeah.
What do you find is a weird quirk or like an ick? Something that I do.
Quirk and ick are so different. I think quirks are cute. Icks are not.
Let's hear both.
Okay, let's see. I mean, you recite memes all the time. It's not an ick, it's a quirk. I think it's really cute.
They just live in
I
there.
know.
They don't pay rent or anything. It's just there.
I know.
You know?
I love that you like to hold Keegan's phone for him while you do that.
It helps him. It's easier for him to chew because he holds him in his paws like this. And he goes like this. I'll just hold it up for him and he can.
I know. I love it. That's a good quirk. I really don't think you have any icks.
Say it.
Maybe just like casually pulling out nose hairs.
You know, I've been doing that for a long time.
You have been?
It's something that my friends, even in high school, have called me out for.
Yeah. Like, do it. Definitely.
I don't
In
get.
private.
But like, how does it not run out? Because I notice it all the time. It just tickles, and it sticks out too.
Yeah.
So I pull it, and it's like every couple days it's back. I try to be discreet about it, not around you,
No, not around me.
but there's no being discreet around you.
I know.
So
It takes the whole package.
you get all or nothing.
Do I have an egg? We can think of quirks at the same time.
No, you have a lot of quirks. You are a quirk.
Okay, list 5. Go.
Well, you make a face when you're checking yourself out.
What's the face? Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because you think someone would be like, or like, but.
Your messy bangs in the morning. They're just like antennas.
Antenna. So true.
The way you get shy around me still.
Yeah. What a crazy question.
You don't have to be shy or nervous. I don't know if that's the same, but
Yeah.
how messy you are.
I know in what way you mean though.
Like, it's literally that meme of that kid who like spills apple juice. He's like,
And he's like-
uh-oh. Yeah. No, he's like, uh-oh. And then he like goes back. Okay. And then he gets a new cup of
Yeah,
apple
yeah.
juice. And then he didn't
I
clean
won't
it
do it.
properly, so he slips. And
Yeah.
it's literally you with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially mixing pasta sauce. I don't know, man. It's like there's a bomb in there.
Yeah, you don't love cleaning up after yourself, right? Don't take this personally. Okay. But I think, at least for now, the ick that I can come up with, okay, not when you're driving as a whole, but when you are indecisive and don't understand what the map is saying.
Oh, trust me, that I hate it too. But the maps are crazy.
I never have a problem with the map. I don't know what you're looking at or what it's telling you, but I never had a problem with the map. I prefer to drive anyway. I feel safer.
Fair enough. I'll accept it. Why do you think we have such a good relationship? In the sense that, like, we get along really well. We, like, never fight. And we're still, like, super into each other after all these years. And that's not really something we've had to, like, work on. Like, it's just...
I think there's a lot of things, but I'm going to start off by saying trust. I know this is also cliche, but this unconditional love,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll go into a little bit more on what that means for me. And also, we love each other for who we are now, just as much as who we want to be.
Yeah.
I think all those three things combined. I won't speak on behalf of every type of relationship. It's different for everybody, but at least for me, I think those are the three things that have made it work.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about this with the boys the other day about just what love is, I guess, in a romantic way, and how do you know they're the person? My answer was something that I learned from you, which was have so much love to give for the other person, and it's unconditionally just you want to give love constantly, and you never feel like the need to receive love in order to fill a hole in your life. Love is more about, I guess, abundance, right? It's you have so much love in you that you want to share. It's not so much like I'm going to give you this love so I can receive this love.
And you're meaning you don't love because you want anything. You love because you want to love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was a huge thing that I noticed of why I thought that we were endgame, like right when I met you, was because I seriously just felt so much love for you that it had nothing to do with me. Like, it had nothing to do with what I wanted or, like, anything. It was just, like, I wanted to hang out with you because I wanted you to have a good time. Like, I wanted to take you on trips because I wanted, like, to take care of you. Like, I had this, like, need and desire to take care of you. And it was so much less about me than any other relationships have been.
I don't know how to explain it, but, when people ask, like, how do you know she's the one, like, how can I not know? Like, after 3 years, I'm still falling in love more every day. Like, I am, literally.
I know, me too.
And my mom was like, yeah, I told you. Like, my mom said, I was talking to her about, like, where we might go for a honeymoon, whatever. And she's like, your whole relationship has been a honeymoon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the reason why people have, like, the honeymoon stage and why I don't really agree with it, like, it's real, for sure. But I think the reason that is not because the love dies down or because the excitement goes away or anything like that. It's that real life happens. And you take away that perfectionist mindset and you see that this is a real person in front of you that has their own struggles, their own traumas, their own resistance, like all these things. And that starts building walls.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts building fear. And your same traumas, everything starts coming up. And those start building walls around the love that you could so easily access at the beginning. And I feel like the reason why our relationship has been powerful and also just so undying is because we immediately tackled those walls every time together.
That is, in other words to say, like, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's meant to be hard. You have to work for it.
Yeah.
I would definitely say.
Yeah.
sure a lot of people already in or have had relationships know that.
I think ultimately you need, this comes back to like having so much love to give kind of thing. You need to be in a space when you're in a relationship that you'll be okay if they choose not to love you.
Yeah, that is what I said.
Yeah.
That is also something that I said when we were talking, is that, you know, we have so much love to give each other and respect, mutual respect, that, you know, I don't need anything. And if one day she says that she's gonna break up with me, I love her enough to let her do that and to let her make the decision that she's making, and believe that that's the best decision that she thinks she's making.
But the reason why I think that has to be there is because when things come up, as life does, you need to be able to choose transparency over anything, ultimately. And it's as small as like not wanting to tick off your partner by asking them, like, the amount of times I've just been like crying and like just want that support and not anything. I have that middle ground of like, do I want to ask him and like interrupt his day, and like that kind of insensitive fear of like you'll think less of me because I'm not like perfect and composed all the time. But then also being like, I guess this is what I need. And I think those moments are the things that build up the openness of our relationship. And example again is just like, I remember I was triggered so much in the beginning of our relationship. And being able to tell you why. And being like, actually, it's not your fault that you being quiet triggered me. It's because of this. And like, it's not you, and this is something I want to work through. And having that balance of like, this is something I'm going to work through, but also acknowledge that this is something that's hard for me, and maybe adjust your behavior in ways that is comfortable for you to like find that balance. But it's so easy for people to leave a lot unsaid. And then there's a misunderstanding, like, and then you don't feel connected because you're not opening yourself up to have that connection.
Not just in romantic relationships, but in
Yeah, all of them, all for sure.
Yeah, or at least my takeaway, the way I would put it, is never put anything up to assumption. Right?
Yeah.
Never set on.
If you assume something, ask.
Yeah, always ask.
Yeah.
Always talk about it. Don't let there be any chances of misinterpretation.
Yeah.
And I think that is the basis of clear communication.
Yeah.
And that,
and I think living
builds
an honest
trust.
relationship ultimately, because so many people live imaginary relationships. Like, I don't know, there's so many areas where you can like assume why they're not doing this or why they're doing that, and most of the time it's not what you think. And so just opening that door and like actually being like, well, who are you? What are you? Like, why are you acting like this? And like, where's your behavior coming from? And wanting to understand them rather than putting it into the box of your own thoughts.
What is a belief that no longer serves you or that has changed?
First thing that comes to mind is actually something that Tavia said to me recently. And I told her that I feel like for my whole adult life, I have been in like two different sides of my personality. And I have this like edgier rocker side to me, and I have this like soft spiritual side to me. And I've always felt like I go between one and the other. And I wanted and tried so hard to like just meet in the middle. And I told her that, and she asked me, like, do they have to? Like, do you, like, what's the point of them meeting in the middle? Because you are the middle. And I was just thinking, like, I guess the fact that I am both does make me already in the middle. And I don't need to try to be simultaneously both. I just have to be me, and that will come through naturally. And I think that I feel like a lot of people try to be something. gotta be you.
I think where you're trying to get at is what I alluded to in one of the videos. It's people think that they need to be something in order to do something. You know, it's I am blank. I am this identity. This is my identity, and therefore I do what this identity is
Yeah.
meant to or known to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they say, oh, like, I want to be this, but I'm not good enough to be this yet, so I can't do this.
Yeah.
Or like, I want to do this, but I don't want to be identified as this. Or it's always this conflict between the two of, you know, I am, therefore I do. It's never just, I am.
Yeah. That's a tattoo I'm gonna get. Maybe even tonight. If I just want, I am.
Is that what we're doing today?
Yeah.
You're going to get tattoos?
Yeah.
That's super impulsive. Super spontaneous. Right now?
Yeah. In like an hour. Here. Yeah.
She's gonna bring her stuff?
We got like 5 minutes.
Okay.
And I want to go to the store to get snacks.
Okay, we better get going.
Okay, my final thing to say is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. See. Yes to what?
That's all. Bye.
That's all?
No.
Okay.
On the note that we were talking on before, I think the point of, I had a moment where I guess my two sides were like, I was like, I want to be a poet, and this is what a poet is, so I need to be that.
Mm.
And then I got rid of that, but then I had a moment where I was like, well, I'm spiritual, and this is what spiritual looks like, so I should be that. And now I'm taking a step back from both of that and being like, I don't want either of it. I want almost all of it, and to just be me. And the fact is, I'm a spiritual person who writes poetry, so I'm both. And like, there's no vision. Like, there's nothing that has to be.
Mm.
And I think, especially these days, where spirituality is such a big thing, it can become like it's meant to be this liberating space to be radically you. And it has become, in a lot of ways, a space where you're supposed to be radically spiritual. And this is what it looks like. And this is, if you don't meditate, if you don't do yoga, if you don't drink this juice, then you're not spiritual. But I think that completely removes you from what spirituality is meant to be, and it really just turns back to being radically you. And that will look very different for everyone.
I think a belief system or a set of beliefs or ideology that has changed for me within the past couple of years, time is very valuable.
It's the most valuable thing on earth.
I think when we're young, we have this impression that we have all the time in the world.
Quote. Walk like you have all the time in the world and no time to waste. I like that.
Quote. It's not about the years in your life, but it's about the life in your years.
Yeah.
I think that is also something that is a perspective that changes as you grow up. But just time, just understanding that your day will come.
Yeah.
And it's inevitable. So just make the best of it.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
I think there's a balance too, because people can be immobilized by the fear of time and how quickly it goes by. And that's why I like that quote so much, because it's really finding the balance of walk like you have all the time in the world, but none to waste.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that beauty of being in the moment of there's no fear that, you have to use this limited resource, but there's also just pure valuing and honoring what you have and what's being given to you. Because I guess what it looks like to use your time wisely, people could put that into a box and being I need to work constantly, I need to do this, I need to do that, and it's just being is so important too, and equally important if anything. And so, I think that, my friend.
Some deep stuff. It isn't intended
It
to.
just happens.
And that's how it always happens though between us.
Yeah.
Whenever we sit down and talk.
We get sucked into it. The other night, we sat down at 7.
I didn't even have my phone with me. I didn't
Yeah.
keep track of time.
I didn't think so, but we sat down right after dinner, and then we went upstairs at 10:30. It was like 3 or 4 hours that we were sitting there talking. Let's go get snacks.
That's why I love you. After all these years, I can still talk to you for hours and hours.